Hello. So today what we're going to talk about is getting ready for this fall semester. And I'm going to share with you an idea for doing a micro redesign of your math class for this fall or math classes, whatever you're teaching this fall. And the reason I'm saying micro is I don't want you to feel this sense of overwhelm, because usually the word redesign is kind of like, oh my gosh, what all am I going to have to do? And everyone's exhausted. This past academic year has been exhausting for so many reasons, with the pandemic and then also with teaching and teaching during the pandemic, the whole thing, it's been exhausting. So I'm not asking you to take on a bunch of new things. What I want to do in this video is talk about micro redesigning something with your instruction. In the next video, I'm going to talk about with your assessment. We're going to keep it really small and manageable. So I don't want to overwhelm you. I want this to be something that makes you feel good and makes you feel like you're making progress with your courses, because not everybody was satisfied with how last year went with the pandemic, or the last academic year. So one of the things that I try to do, and I'm not perfect at it, but I always try to look at, when I'm planning for my upcoming semester, what worked the last time I taught the course and what didn't, or what were some things that I wanted to do. And I usually leave myself like post-it notes in the semester, like never do this again, or you really need to try this again, or whatever. And then I usually have more notes than I have the energy to make happen, but that's neither here nor there. Point is you're planning for the fall semester and you're thinking about what you might want to do different. What I want you to think about is the time with your students in the classroom. So that time is incredibly precious. That's the main thing that we saw throughout the pandemic, is how much we missed human interaction and human connection with each other. So when you have students in front of you, and I'm talking to, particularly for college instructors that, you might only see your students a couple days a week. Maybe you see your students and you have options to do things asynchronously, synchronously. You have maybe more flexibility than you might have had previously with how you meet with your students and how you choose to engage in learning activities with them. So notice I didn't say lecture, but how do we choose to engage with learning and encourage that with our students? And the thing I want you to be thinking about, always in the back of your head, and I am like thinking about this constantly and also kind of feeling guilty, but I'm trying to like let that go and just be like, look, you can't be perfect, do the best you can. But class time is precious. So I'm always asking myself as I'm planning, does this need to be done in class? Is this something that could be done outside of class, either at the equivalent level, or could it be done better outside of class? Now, I'm not saying, give students tons and tons of stuff to do in addition to their regular work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, instead of having a 50-minute long lecture, could you have a 1 or 2 page document and have them watch a 15-minute video that you made last year that turned out to be really good? Have them watch that, take notes on it, then come in and then you work problems with them, kind of like a mini flipped classroom, but you don't have to do it every single day. The idea that I want you to think about is you have created probably assets that you have that you can use, be it videos, or maybe you didn't create a lot of stuff. I bet you did. A lot of faculty did. But even if you didn't, you probably found stuff that you like to use. So, and again, don't invent the wheel. Don't feel the need. I'm not asking you to make a big old to-do list of all these videos you're going to create for this fall. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a lot of good stuff out there, either that you created or that you have found. Or maybe it's activities, videos, whatever, Desmos things, interactive applets, whatever. What I want you to think of is there something I could include? Maybe it'd be great, like once a unit. Maybe once a week is too much. Maybe that's too ambitious. But could I, at least a couple of times a semester, preferably more, whatever you can comfortably take on with your workload, where you can be like, could we switch this up, and not just go straight back to how we used to do things when we were in the classroom. So for example, like with my stats class, that's like, I love teaching that class so much. And I'm realizing that my goal, I mean, I know what my goal is with it, but I'm realizing that my class and the way that I have set up class time with my students is not necessarily contributing to my goal. So my goal for my students is that when they leave that class, that they have a greater statistical literacy, that they feel confident, or they have greater confidence when they see numbers and graphs and figures in real life, that there's things that they're like, oh yeah, I know what standard deviation is, or oh yeah, I've heard the word regression and I know what that has to do with, and I know correlation is not causation. And oh, I know that you really need to, like, when you're looking at a graph, don't just like go with your gut instinct, like really slow down and look at the axes and the scale. You know, that's the kind of thing I want them to come away with, and not just to be, too easily influenced by things that are in media and news, and because it's very easily to be influenced by that. So that's my goal for my stats students. Okay, I have a different goal when I'm teaching pre-calculus or I'm teaching college algebra. But for my stats students, that's my goal. So what I'm asking myself is, are my classroom activities helping me reach that goal? And of course, I'd be like, of course they are, Kathy. But when I really look closer, I'm like, not always. And there are things where I've had to make decisions regarding, like, am I going to do this activity, or am I going to do, a lecture or something that I can get through the material more quickly, and then we can get to some kind of assessment or whatever. And it's like, I'm really stopping myself and going, is that getting me where I want to be? And what is my goal for my students? And so, like, my big thing that I'm trying to do this fall, and I'm not going to be perfect at it, but I'm going to try to regularly, every unit, and I have about 10 to 11 units in my class, I'm going to try to make sure that we are doing an activity where we're gathering data, because I have like a plethora of these. I have more activities I can use in stats than I will have time in my life to teach. So it's like I have plenty to draw from. There's great stuff all over the internet and everywhere. You don't have to invent anything. But I want to make sure that I am using one at least every unit, and that is contributing to part of their learning, either in terms of a formative or a summative assessment, but that is not just, oh, this is a fun thing to do and this is engagement, but this is like deliberately tied to our goals of what we're trying to achieve in the class, and that it has meaning and depth, and it's not just this fun thing that we do, which is what I've done in the past. Sometimes I do activities for engagement and to illuminate different concepts, but I want to take them deeper and do more with them, as opposed to spending so much time using them to introduce or wrap up something and letting the bulk of the time still be on direct instruction. So that's one of the things that I'm going to push myself to do. I don't know if it'll totally work. I'm sure there are things I will tweak. Remember that curriculum is like laundry. It's never done. So there are definitely things I'm going to come up with that maybe not be the greatest thing. Doesn't matter. The point is, we're trying to always improve, iterate, and progress. So I would love to hear from you. What is something that you would like to do? Maybe something you want to keep from the last academic year that you liked, but you would incorporate it into your classes as you start seeing your students more in person. Or if you're not seeing your students in person, or even if you are, what are some things that maybe you don't want to carry on, or you want to start new, or whatever. I'd love to hear from you on what is your take on this as you're going into this fall. What are your thoughts on what you're going to do the same or different with your instruction? See you next time.